people need to understand when you open up a business, that's not your money. That's the business's money.
Correct.
Your money is different. And if you're going to use business money to offset your expenses, your personal expenses, then the business has double expenses. And
Correct.
the business will not. Hello, everyone, and in this episode, we're going to talk to one of my good friends and business owner, Mandla. And remember, if you like videos like this, please hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos that come up. Welcome, everybody, back to the Sing Experience. Again, it's me, Priyesh Singh. But as you can see, we're outside today in the beautiful home of Mandla. Mandla is our guest in today's show. I'm going to let Mandla introduce himself, his business, and what he does, and then we'll just go from there. Mandla?
Thank you, Priyesh, for having me. Good to see you, as always.
Yeah, fantastic.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So I'm sure people know me. I'm Mandla Bango, the founding CEO of Direct Car Solutions.
Yep.
So what we do on our side, we're the company that obviously assists customers and dealers by finding, obviously, sourcing the correct vehicles. We do background checks on those cars, make sure that the cars are obviously 100%, provide customers with that reliability and that satisfaction, knowing that they are buying peace of mind as well. So when we obviously source our vehicles, we do the background checks in terms of warranties, service histories, and all that basically that comes with obviously giving you as the buyer peace of mind essentially.
Oh, fantastic. Mandla, one of the things when you started your business, so I know you for a while. It's been, I don't know how many years now.
I think it's close to 10.
10 years almost. Yeah? Tell me, so I had, I had the liquor business.
Correct.
But how did you think to go into something like this? Like, what made you feel that this is the business for you?
Good question. For me personally, how it all started was I looked at what I was doing pretty much all my life. I mean, I started in the insurance industry. From the insurance industry, moved into the dealership space where I was an F&I. F&I worked into the banks as well. Obviously as a key account holder as well, key account manager at that point. So I thought to myself, why don't I obviously use everything that I've learned up to this point to grow and basically what is my passion? And I've always been passionate about cars. This is why I found myself in that space. When I started looking back, I was always passionate about cars. So even when I was buying my own cars, I would do my own checks. Make sure that I see what the service history is, warranty, if obviously the vehicles are out of warranty or in warranty, and all those checks. And obviously with the relationships I started building, it just made sense to go into something like this. So this is when I started to say, look, maybe it's best I use the knowledge and also maybe share it with some of my clients as well, so that they can also have the benefit of what I know.
Yeah, look, second-hand car markets is so volatile. It's based on the buyer, I think. Not really what it looks like in terms of what the books say the value is. It's just the buyers that determine whether they would pay that amount or not. The book could say 100,000, but the buyers are willing to pay 80, and then therefore 80 becomes the going rate.
Correct.
Starting your own business, being someone who was employed. How did you make that decision to leave a permanent, secure job? You're working in a big corporate, one of the biggest corporates in Africa. And how did you make the decision to leave that corporate and then transition to being, was it not scary? Like what was going through? How did you adjust?
That's actually a great question, because it was quite actually, how can I say, quite a challenge to start with, because I sat one day and asked myself, look, man, you know what? You've been doing this for all these years, when am I going to start building my own company? So obviously as the years were going, I said, look, maybe it's time now. And for me, I felt I was progressing. I was now in meetings, in excos, and things were going great, but I felt that I wanted more. And wanting more was me saying, look, I think we're getting closer to that point where I need to now get my own brand. And I think the birth of my second born, which is my son, just opened my eyes as well, because I just felt that if at any point when life obviously comes to an end, I would like to leave something for the ones that come behind me. So not that they now necessarily have to go into the car market but have something they can look into and say, look, if Daddy could do something, we could also maybe look at something and chase our dreams at some point.
Yeah, I think that's important to note. Like circumstances change. It's like when we met 10 years ago. We're both two young guys.
Exactly.
Met in gaming, and I think if you asked us 10 years ago, we say we never start a business now.
100%.
Knowing that, like, okay, in the world, 99% of businesses fail. South Africa is slightly different. I think about 60% of businesses fail. 40 goes. What do you think are the pros and cons, firstly, of owning your business?
Right.
And then secondly, what do you think is the main driver to help you get to be successful in the business?
First of all, if you're going to start your own business, and if it's about money, then you're in the wrong business. That's what I've learned. I mean, my company is now going into a second year, and you'll start realizing that money is not what drives the business anymore. People will pay you late, others won't even pay you at all. So those are some of the cons that you're going to be up against. So if you're in this business where you're going to be in it for the money, then unfortunately you are going to be in the wrong business. What we are in is in the business of, how can I say, building a client and relationships. Now that's where the pro is, because the more people that can believe in what you're doing and that have used your services, the more referrals that come back to you at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, like, for the cons, I think we all know, like, money and cash flow in a business, especially you saying you're 2 years old in this business. Look, when I meet you, it feels like you've been doing this forever. But cash flow, we know, is a problem. But the pros that you mentioned, I don't think people teach this. I don't think anybody has told you. It's like you build now for later.
Correct.
I think with today's world, with instant gratification, people don't understand that you might not make money in the first 2 years.
Correct.
But as you build those relationships, 10 years down the line, that's when you start to see the fruit.
Spot on.
I think that's something that I think people just don't understand. I think everyone says, look, I'm going to start a business today. I'm working for myself. The big thing is, let me work for myself.
Exactly.
Like you really? Because the problem with working for yourself, when you work for a big company, they pay you first, then they pay everyone else.
Correct.
Working for yourself, you pay everyone else first.
And you lost.
And you take this, like, who would ever want to do this? You know? Yeah, but go for it.
And I like what you're saying, because there's days where you realize, sheesh, I missed the 20th.
Yeah.
But then you come back and you realize, but let's forgo the 20th. And this is if I was a trader, here we're going long. So we're playing the long game now, And one of my favorite sports, and we've had a chat about this, for me, is cricket.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of T20, but I love Test cricket. I don't mind waking up at 2 in the morning to watch the Proteas play in Australia. I don't mind that, and watching Test cricket, because for me, it's similar to business. You need to be patient. There'll be a lot of wide balls. There'll be a lot of bounces.
Yeah.
But when the good one comes, that's when you can play it for 4 or 6, or maybe even get a single.
I like the cricket analogy, is because when we were growing up, 5 day was still big.
Sure.
One day, the older generation, one older than us,
Sure.
said the 5 days their thing. And then we wanted the 1 day because it was done in 50 overs.
Correct.
And now the younger guys want the T20 that's done in like 2 hours.
Exactly.
So I think the analogy that you've used right now really shows when it comes to business as well.
Sure.
That instant success is not what happens in business.
Not at all.
The other thing that I noticed, in my business, is that it took long for me to understand the ins and outs of finance in the business, managing money.
Right.
How do you find managing money? Especially, you're not managing like small amounts. Cars can get up to R1 million and more.
Correct.
Like, how do you manage money? Like, what tips do you have? What tips do you have that others can use, and what tips did you find out on your own?
That's a good question, Priyesh. When it comes to money, what I've come to realize is that if you, as I said, if you're in it for the instant gratification, and you just obviously, as soon as the money comes in, and you want to go and obviously spend on what you've been always wanting, those pair of sneakers, or as soon as, we are all guilty of that. But unfortunately, it now comes to a point where, as you said, you now pay yourself last.
Yeah.
So what I've actually come and I've learned in this business is you need to separate your business and your personal money. So business has a business account. Personal has a personal account. Pay yourself, just like how you used to get paid at work. You need to get into that rhythm of learning how to pay yourself. But unfortunately, in business, things don't happen the way they do. And there are months where, unfortunately, the business didn't do great. But this is where the savings now come in. Where you need to learn how to save and put money so that should something happen, you're able to sustain yourself and the business. For me, what I've learned as well in this journey is that I'd love to get to a point where if I could step away from the business, because as I said, currently I'm still self-employed. Once you're an entrepreneur, it means you can step away from the business for at least 3 to 5 years without being involved in it. And it could basically run itself and pay itself.
Yeah, I think the first point you made with paying yourself, like, people need to understand when you open up a business, that's not your money. That's the business's money.
Correct.
Your money is different. And if you're going to use business money to offset your expenses, your personal expenses, then the business has double expenses.
Correct.
And the business will not grow.
100.
So yeah, that's important. I think like accounting 101 doesn't teach this. I wish it did. But it's how you use the money, especially if you're self-employed, especially if you an entrepreneur. You need to know your money is X amount. Your personal life goes based on that X amount.
Correct.
And as the business grows, your money grows as well. Of course, you
100%.
take a percentage of that. But then you mentioned after that that if you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to get someone or staff members to run the business while you look for maybe bigger opportunities and grow the business. Like, that's going to take some time. You're 2 years in, I'm guessing another year and a half before you can start venturing out in that.
Correct.
Do you have plans? Did you set yourself nice plans?
Definitely. Because remember that our business model is not office based. We are client based. So our solutions are driven around the client. So even if the client's in Durban, East London, just a week ago I was actually in East London, and while I was working there, my office was in East London literally. So I was attending to my client, assisting him from there, and then once I was done, I was back in Joburg again. So you're right, we are not an office-based solution. We are a client-based solution. So, and this is why it's important for me to now be in a position where we can venture out and have different consultants in different provinces.
Yeah, I think again, a couple years ago, we would never assume that if you don't have an office, you don't have a business.
Exactly.
We would say office equals business. But I think we've learned just before COVID that doesn't really happen.
Correct.
But during COVID, I think it hit big that you don't need an office space in order to have an actual business running.
Correct.
And you can run it from your home. But I think my last episode, I spoke about working from home and the cons of it. And I'm thinking that amplifies, especially the cons of loneliness, overworking yourself.
Correct.
When you got your own business, you're in a massive risk of overworking yourself. You don't know when to stop because you think that you're doing it for yourself. But if you, like in cricket, if you make the same bowler bowl maybe 30 over spell, they're going to be dead in 30 overs. What they can deliver in the first over and what they can deliver in over 30, massively different. And if you're going to do that in business, I think you're going to suffer hugely.
No, spot on, Priyesh. And I like what you're talking about, especially when you're talking about the difference between when you bowl your first over and your last over. So it's very important that even as myself, to have that downtime, have that time where it's just about shutting down and obviously just focusing on you. Because if you keep going and going and going, you'll end up burning out. And I think that's what I liked your, because I was watching your last podcast when you spoke about working from home. I loved how you mentioned in that podcast that it's important, to yes, it's great when you're working at the office, but also when you're working from home, people don't realize how much more you're working when you're working from, because you don't take the same hour break. You probably don't even take your 15-minute tea breaks anymore. You're constantly going.
Yeah, I think having your own business even worse. Like, I think if you're working from home for another company, what will happen then is you would say, no, it's their company. I might not want to work that long. But when you're working for yourself, you're gonna say, if I push another 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you realize it's 3 in the morning, you got an 8 o'clock meeting with a potential new client. And then you wake up, you go to sleep, and then you wake up, you're tired, you're not at your best, and there's potential to lose that client if you're gonna push too hard. So I think work balance, especially when you have your own business, is more important than when you're working for someone, because then I think they set times, they set breaks, and you're doing it for someone else. You don't see the impact that much.
Correct.
Let's shift from there. Some of the people that's going to be watching, it's not going to be from South Africa. They don't know. They don't know what it is like here. How difficult was it to start your business in South Africa? Is it hard to start business in South Africa, or is the legislation quite forgiving for business owners?
To be honest, starting a business wasn't too difficult. I mean, registering your company, we've got now CIPC, where you can do all these things online, so registering and getting off the ground is really not the difficult part. The challenge where it becomes difficult now is everything you've envisioned, where you believe, okay, everyone is going to flock to me now and knock on my door. That doesn't happen that way. And I think that's where the actual business starts. That's how I felt. That's where it really starts.
Yeah, I think like South Africa is so divided, not only like because of our past, right? Our past is what happened, but I think South Africa is more like there's other divisions. Like there's political party divisions. So
Correct.
if you support another party, it's a they don't want to maybe do business with you.
Sure.
There's brand loyalty, crazy brand loyalty in South Africa.
Unbelievable.
So if you're a VW guy, you're never buying a Ford.
Exactly.
And you could have the best deal on a Ford Focus, but they will want a Polo for twice the price, same car, same model, year model, maybe even a lower year model. But I think that's huge. The brand loyalty in South Africa, it's crazy. Not only on clothes, cars.
It is.
Like some people just pride themselves being a Ford driver, BMW driver, a Mercedes-Benz driver, and if you can't get the exact same car, they just move on to someone else.
But that's exactly why I started this business. And that's what drove me to it, because I started realizing, because of that brand loyalty, why can't anyone be brand loyalty? Why I want to? Because that's where I thought to myself, imagine if, because of the service that we've rendered, they will not do business unless direct car solutions is involved.
Yeah, no, I think that's important that you've mentioned that, because I read books. I read a lot of books. One of the books I read is Start with the Why.
Sure.
Or why are you doing this? Like
Correct.
what's the why in your business? And from what I see is, I think you define that quite early in your business. Like, why are you doing this? You want to be. Your why is deliver the best service to your customer.
Definitely.
and deliver it the way the customer wants it.
Correct.
And on that note, what steps have you taken to ensure that you don't falter? Because sometimes we can stray. What have you done so that we don't falter?
For my what we had to do on my side, as much as Direct Car Solutions specializes in vehicles, right? We actually had to grow and now look at what more can we do for our clients. Yes, we've done the vehicle and we've assisted them. They know obviously what's happening with their vehicle. They know what it has, what it doesn't have, service plans, warranties. But we asked ourselves one question, because what can we do more for our customers? And now we've actually even expanded now to home loans, whereby now we can assist with home finance. So for us to avoid falling into the trap of the business is now going to crash because the market has now changed or this is now happening, we wanted to make sure that we just don't focus on what we do, which is just the vehicles, but we focus on the clients. So now, because we'll be focusing on the clients, we've now also provided the solution whereby we do home loan finance as well. So which is a very key thing for our customers. I mean, now our customers are that, I qualified for my vehicle finance, everything was great, and these guys helped me. And then we said, but hold on, what about your home? When do you plan on obviously now buying a home? Now the customer knows that they can start planning ahead, and we can have these discussions, you know. And as I said, I mean, what's important for us is that our customers are the ones that come first, because I mean, they can find a house anyway, but they know that the car solutions now also does home finance as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's fascinating that you've just mentioned that if you don't evolve as a business, then you're going to be left behind.
Big time.
You know, like housing in South Africa is something that's, I don't want to say new. I would say it's about 25 years old that we really getting into housing at this level. Because,
Correct.
before that, only the wealthy bought houses,
100%.
and we didn't really have that. So, but now we're seeing that houses are being bought by everybody,
Correct.
and the fact that we've got low cost housing as well, this does definitely help. I think that's important. That if you don't, as a company, if you don't evolve to your needs of your client, you're going to be left behind.
Spot on.
I think that's that's fantastic.
Spot on. Spot on.
What we're gonna do though, everybody, we'll leave a link to Mandla's company in the description below. If you want to check it out, it'll be down there as well. The other thing I wanted to ask you with the car market being so volatile, so I went, so I was looking at trading in the Mercedes I've got,
Sure.
and I had a look at a base model C180. And that's costing like R1 million today,
Whew.
right? And that's unbelievably crazy. Has the new cars market gone up so much that the used car market has become the viable choice for most people?
You know, in an ideal world, what's crazy is that that's what should happen. But right now, it seems as if it's the new car market that's starting to pick up. So with the new car market starting to pick up at the moment, you can see that, look, maybe your high-end cars, obviously, as you said, you were looking at a new Mercedes-Benz. I mean, those new cars now, obviously, if you'll find some above R1 million. But there is still, how can I say, there is still room for the person who's not earning as much to then say, look, I can't afford buying a new vehicle, so I'm going to rather go into a used vehicle. But that also now finds us in a situation whereby the prices of used cars are starting to pick up as well. So because obviously the prices of used cars are obviously a bit high as well, customers are now looking at what is my best option. Do I rather go new or do I go used? So remember, it all boils down to customer preferences and the customer affordability. So if the customer can only afford a used vehicle, but they really, really wanted a new vehicle, unfortunately, they're going to have to look at a used vehicle. But then there's customers who can afford a new vehicle. And they say, look, maybe my first car I bought was used. I think it's time now to buy a new vehicle. So it is a push and pull, but I am seeing right now that there is now an uptake basically in regards to new vehicles at the moment.
Do you do new vehicles on your?
Well, look, we do advise our customers as well. So look, based on what you're looking at, definitely if you can afford new, you can, and obviously we'll then align you with the dealers that we've obviously got relationships with.
Yeah. So then you can get like maybe a couple of rands off if you could with the relationships. Yeah, I think so. One of my next couple of episodes, I'm gonna have a look at the cost of buying a car.
Right.
Like the actual cost with the interest rates, with the cost of an average car, both used and new.
Correct.
And I'm gonna also just show the people what their monthly repayments look like on 100,000 rand car, 500,000, 800,000, a million rand.
Sure.
What is residual? What is leasing versus buying?
Correct.
What is cash buying? What's the benefits? What's the cons of all of that? So it's definitely going to be part of my future stuff. I think
100%.
buying cars, going and looking for a car myself, made me really rethink this car buying stuff. It's like, do I actually keep my car, because I know it's out of motor plan in about 2 years time, but now do I keep it and then maybe take extended motor plans, or German cars and stuff?
And that's exactly what we do. I mean, for our customers, when I mean, as the question you asked me earlier, that do we do new vehicles? I mean, we have customers whereby because we've got the insurance side of the business as well, where customers write off their vehicles, and after that they say, look, Mandla, I think I'm done doing a used car. I want a used vehicle. Or other customers say, look, obviously I'm looking at paying up my car a bit quicker. Do you recommend that obviously I buy a new vehicle, or do I rather look at a service plan or a maintenance plan? Then I say, look, let's get the quote. I'll present them to you, and then you can just compare basically as well. But it's always great to be in a position whereby if you're obviously looking at now buying a vehicle versus obviously doing the extension, it means you are in the driving seat. Unlike if you don't have a vehicle and you need a vehicle, that means obviously the only option you have is to buy the car.
Yeah, look, I think the public transport uh, in South Africa is very divided. Buses and taxis, especially our taxis. And if you're a business person and you're working or you own your own business and so forth, I think that it's necessary to have a car. I think the public transport system is great. I think don't take away from that. I've used it for many years as
Correct.
well. But we don't have the trains. The trains are no more, right? So
Correct.
there's no more trains, and getting taxis in this time it gets packed.
Correct.
And it might not be conducive for someone who's going and taking some presentation material and going to present to a client, and with the uncertainties of if there's traffic, strikes, and so forth, would you get there in time? So
Correct.
I think having a car in South Africa, especially if you're in the middle to high LSM markets, I think it's necessary, and I think it's definitely something that more people should look at.
Definitely.
Instead of just going, get advice. I think that's, you're gonna go to a dealership. They're gonna
Correct.
sell you a car.
Definitely.
They're not going to come there and say, listen, this is the best value for money. They're gonna sell the car. In fact, they're gonna try and push you the car. They have the longest in the
Correct.
dealership.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about.
The 60 to 90 days.
Yeah. Exactly. So now you're gonna go into this dealership with someone like you. You don't only just deal with a car. You're dealing with the finance. So your name is still there for like 5 years or so. Then you're dealing with the insurance, lifetime of that car. You're going to be dealing with the client.
Exactly.
And you might even get in the home loan. So you can't make a mistake. You can't give a client a lemon car and expect them to come back to you or recommend you. So
Exactly.
I think using services like what you're doing is, because you walk into a dealership, these guys are trained. They are
Correct.
really, really good at selling cars. I think we've got like the best car salespeople in the world. Yeah.
Definitely.
You go in there to buy a small car, you end up buying the biggest car you get. You had a budget of 400K, all of a sudden you're walking out with a 700K car
Exactly.
without you even knowing it, and then realize maybe a month later that this car was in an accident and so forth. So I think your services is going to be, in the future, for now, in the future, it's going to be invaluable. I think it's
Thanks, Priyesh.
yeah.
And I think for me that was what I felt was missing in the market. Someone who would give that assurance. Just make sure that, look, this is the one. This is what we've checked. Obviously, with every car, obviously we would like to make sure that we tell you. Normally, this car comes with a 3-year warranty, 5-year service plan. Currently, at this moment, it's in year 3, so you already know what you're getting. Imagine now you buy a vehicle and you find out 3 years in that the car's out of warranty. And let's say, for example, something in the engine blew, and maybe they didn't even sell you the warranty there at the dealership. Now you're sitting with a bill of about 30 to 40 grand, and these are things that we help to avoid for our customers. As I said, because I worked in the banks, and I see some of these complaints from customers, and I thought to myself, instead of me trying to obviously be the one that's obviously with a fire extinguisher, why don't I just help the customers to avoid these type of situations happening?
Yeah. You want to be the fire preventer.
Exactly.
Instead of being the fire, the respondent.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Mandla's based in Johannesburg. We're actually at his place in Johannesburg. So beautiful place. Like I said, I'm going to leave all the contacts below. Just if you're looking for a car, you're looking for a house or home loans, or if you're a home loan provider or your bank doesn't want to help you, there's Mandla here. I think Mandla will be more than happy to take you and your finance needs, your car needs, your vehicle needs, your transportation needs, and take it to the next level from a end-to-end service. Mandla?
Definitely, definitely, and I think as you mentioned earlier, yes, we do have a transport system in the country. Take nothing away from that. However, I think we are now in a time where we want to be in control, and being in control starts with you. Doesn't start with anybody else. So once you're in control of what you need to do, then definitely getting the car, getting a roof over your head. Sometimes you're renting, and then they tell you, listen, man, the lease agreement is ending, and obviously is coming to an end. I mean, who wants to live a life like that all the time? So this is what we're trying to eliminate. We want to be the ones that say, look, we want to help you guys, so that we can end that type of anxiety of always sitting and thinking, oh, my lease is now coming to an end. I wonder what the next lease are we going to extend? Is the owner going to extend? And this is why I said, look, let's rather provide an end-to-end service. And this is why this is only the beginning. And as I said, with Direct Cost Solutions, we're now doing business solutions for companies, whereby we consult for companies as well to see what we can assist with and what their needs are. So this is only the beginning. And as I said, I mean, step by step, we'll get there.
Yeah, no, Mandla. Look, all the best for you and your business. I think firstly, thank you for
No,
giving your
thank you.
time today. I think it's a Friday. For those who don't know, it's a Friday, and I know for car buying, it's the busiest day.
It's about to get lit from 12.
So people want to pick up cars now.
Sure.
People wanna enjoy it over the weekend. Easter just finished, so some guys maybe got the Easter bonuses and they want to spend it. So all the best for you. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think you know exactly what you want to do.
Sure.
And I think maybe someone watches this and takes something from it.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter what they take from this, but take something out of this, and like hopefully, yeah.
Definitely.
Any last words from you, Mandla?
Yeah, man, look, I think from my side, it's actually more about you. Congratulations on your podcast. It's just fantastic work, I must say, and I think from here onwards, you're also going to be growing from business to business, strength to strength. So, I mean, we've all come to a point where we realize that, COVID has wreaked havoc, and life is short, guys. I think that's what we've all come to realize. And based on that, I think we've all come to a point where everyone wants to now chase their goals and chase their dreams, because our time on this earth is limited.
Yeah, no. Thanks so much, Mandla. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to watch more of my videos, please click here or here. And don't forget, subscribe, like, and comment on anything that you would like to see.